So, most people who want to protect their memory after 60 have basically heard the exact same advice, right? Eat more blueberries, follow the mind diet, load up on omega-3s. And for years, honestly, that advice seemed pretty solid. It was backed by research, doctors were promoting it, it was everywhere. But here's what almost nobody is actually talking about yet. Back in 2023, the New England Journal of Medicine, which is pretty much the most prestigious medical journal out there, published the very first randomized controlled trial of the MIND diet. The first time it was actually tested head-to-head under real controlled conditions against a comparison group. They followed 604 older adults for about 3 years. And the MIND diet showed absolutely no significant cognitive advantage. None. And in that same massive research program, looking at over 21,000 adults, the thing that actually improved memory by the equivalent of 3.1 years of cognitive aging wasn't some exotic superfood. It wasn't a strict diet plan. It was just a plain, everyday multivitamin. I'm not telling you this to discourage you. I'm bringing this up because the science just got a lot more honest. And today, we're going through 6 specific foods ranked by how strong the actual trial evidence is, and one thing the industry doesn't want you to swap them out for. Because the honest version of what protects your brain after 60 is way more practical and way more affordable than anything a glossy superfood list has ever tried to sell you. Before we get into what actually works, let me give you a sense of the scale of what we're dealing with. According to the Alzheimer's Association 2025 report, there are about 7.2 million Americans aged 65 and older living with Alzheimer's dementia. That's roughly 1 in 9 adults in that age group. Globally, something like 55 million people are living with dementia. But here's what those numbers miss. The millions more who are experiencing what doctors call age-related cognitive changes, slower word retrieval, misplacing your keys more often, finding it harder to hold on to new information while something else is pulling your attention. That is not dementia. That is the normal brain after 60. But it is modifiable. The hippocampus, the part of your brain that does the heavy lifting for forming new memories, shrinks by roughly 1 to 2% every year in healthy adults after 60. That's according to research by Kirk Erickson and his team. 1 to 2% a year. But it's not inevitable, and it's not fixed. It is modifiable by what you eat, how you move, and whether your daily routine is feeding or fighting that natural decline. That is exactly what today is about. Quick note before I share what the research actually says. I'm not a doctor. Nothing I say here is meant to replace a real conversation with yours, especially if you're managing a specific health condition or noticing significant changes in your memory. What this is, it's basically the kind of research your doctor would want you to know about, explained in plain English, so you can have a better conversation at your next checkup. That's all we're doing here. All right, let's get into the actual foods. Food 1. And this is the one that almost everyone ignores. The single strongest dietary signal in the research for slowing cognitive aging is not blueberries, it's not fish oil, it's dark leafy greens. Martha Claire Morris, a nutritional epidemiologist at Rush University, spent years following 960 older adults, around 81 years old on average. She tracked what they ate and how their memory held up over time. The people eating about 1 serving of dark leafy greens a day, spinach, kale, collard greens, even romaine, showed cognitive decline so much slower than the people who rarely ate greens that the difference was equivalent to being 11 years younger in brain age. 11 years from 1 serving every single day. The mechanism is a combination of 4 compounds: vitamin K, lutein, folate, and camphorol that work together in the same leaf. It's not one magic pill. It's a team of nutrients in a form your body actually knows what to do with. 1 large handful of cooked spinach or kale at dinner. That's a serving. That is the whole intervention. Food 2, the blueberry research, because it is real, just a lot more specific than the headlines suggest. Robert Krikorian at the University of Cincinnati has run some of the tightest blueberry memory trials in the literature. In a 2020 study, older adults with mild cognitive impairment took a blueberry supplement for 12 weeks and showed significant improvements in 2 specific types of memory: semantic memory access and visual spatial memory. Here's the important detail, though. The effect was domain-specific. Not general across-the-board brain power, those 2 particular types. And the studies showing the biggest benefits were mostly in people already experiencing some memory decline, not perfectly healthy adults. The mechanism is anthocyanins, the pigment that makes blueberries blue. They cross the blood-brain barrier, reduce inflammation, and boost blood flow to the memory centers of the brain. You need half a cup to a full cup every day to match the trials. Not a handful on your oatmeal on Sundays. Consistent, daily. Fresh or frozen both work. Freezing doesn't affect the anthocyanins at all. Food 3. This is where it gets genuinely complicated. Omega-3s and fish. Observational evidence, studies that watch what people eat over years, shows a clear link between eating oily fish and having a lower risk of dementia. 2 servings a week, roughly 8 ounces of salmon or sardines, seems to be the threshold where benefits appear. But when researchers ran randomized trials giving healthy older adults fish oil capsules, the results were mostly nothing. The VITAL trial in 2022, over 25,000 healthy adults, found 0 significant cognitive benefit from omega-3 supplements. Here's what's likely happening. The fish is a marker for a good diet overall, not just a delivery system for DHA. People who eat a lot of fish also tend to eat fewer processed foods and more vegetables. The capsule alone, without the broader dietary pattern, doesn't replicate that. Practical takeaway? Eat the actual fish, 2 servings a week. Don't swap it for a pill and expect the same result. I want to stop on the food list for a moment, because there is something else the research keeps pointing to that no food can replicate, and it needs to be part of this conversation. Kirk Erickson's team, the researchers I mentioned earlier, found that just 1 year of moderate aerobic exercise, walking 40 minutes 3 times a week, actually increased the size of the hippocampus by about 2%. That reverses 1 to 2 years of the age-related shrinkage we talked about. And it boosts BDNF, the protein your brain uses to grow new neurons. No food we're discussing today does that. Diet and movement have to work together. The food lowers inflammation and gives your brain the building blocks. The movement sends the signal to actually build. 30 minutes of walking 3 times a week. If you're only doing one, you need to add the other. Food 4. The one with the strongest randomized trial evidence of anything on this list. Extra virgin olive oil. The Predimed trial, one of the best diet studies ever conducted, tested a Mediterranean diet loaded with extra virgin olive oil against a standard low-fat diet. The 2015 paper showed the olive oil group actually improved their memory scores, while the low-fat group got worse. The active compound is oleocanthal, a polyphenol found only in extra virgin olive oil, not the refined version, not canola. Laboratory studies suggest it may help the brain clear amyloid beta, the protein that accumulates in Alzheimer's. To match the study, you need 2 to 3 tablespoons a day. Use it as your main cooking oil and salad dressing. That's it. Food 5. Probably the most surprising finding in this entire video. In 2018, researchers at UCLA ran an 18-month trial with adults between 50 and 90. Half received a highly absorbable form of curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, and half received a placebo. The turmeric group showed nearly a 28% improvement in memory tests, and when their brains were scanned, they had measurably less buildup of amyloid and tau proteins in key regions. Critical detail. Plain turmeric powder from your spice rack is very poorly absorbed by the body. The UCLA trial used a special formulation. But there's a simple hack: black pepper. The compound piperine in black pepper dramatically increases how much curcumin your body absorbs. Always cook turmeric and black pepper together. Soups, eggs, wherever. It was a small trial, and we need more research. But it's one of the most specific findings on food and brain pathology in years. Food 6. And this one sits last because it's not about adding something good. It's about stopping something that's actively working against you. In 2023, researchers followed about 11,000 adults for 8 years, tracking ultra-processed food consumption. People who got 20% or more of their daily calories from highly processed, packaged foods experienced a 28% faster rate of cognitive decline. Not 28% higher risk eventually, 28% faster decline, happening right now, year over year. And ultra-processed food isn't just obvious junk. It's anything manufactured with emulsifiers, artificial flavors, and synthetic preservatives. A lot of boxed cereals, commercial breads, flavored yogurts. If the ingredient list reads like a chemistry lab rather than a pantry, it qualifies. These ingredients trigger an inflammatory response that accelerates the exact brain shrinkage we're trying to prevent. Cutting back on this may do more for your brain than adding any superfood could. One final piece most people skip entirely: your gut. A 2024 study showed that the bacteria in an older adult's gut, could actually predict their cognitive function. And a separate trial found that giving older adults probiotics for 12 weeks improved both memory and mood. It's early science, not a prescription yet, but it shows that the standard brain-food conversation is missing half the picture. Your gut bacteria communicate with your brain continuously through the vagus nerve. The simplest way to help? Plain Greek yogurt, kefir, kimchi. Not expensive pills, the actual fermented foods eaten regularly. Let's tie this together. The science of brain food had a humbling year in 2023. The Mind diet didn't hold up in its first real trial. Trendy supplements failed. A basic multivitamin outperformed them all. What that tells us isn't that nutrition doesn't matter. It tells us the brain is too complex to be rescued by one miracle food. It needs a team. That team looks like this: 1 serving of dark leafy greens a day, half a cup of berries, 2 servings of actual fish a week, extra virgin olive oil as your main fat, turmeric cooked with black pepper, and as little ultra-processed food as you can manage. It's not magic, it's a pattern, a habit you maintain over months and years. That is what the evidence actually points to. Before you click away, pull out your phone right now and type this into your notes. 1 cup leafy greens plus EVOO plus turmeric plus black pepper. That is the minimum daily combination with the strongest research behind it. Start there. Now I want to hear from you. Which finding surprised you most? The Mind diet result? The multivitamin? The black pepper trick? Tell me in the comments, and tell me your age. What you share might be exactly what someone else watching this needs to read today. One final thought. The foods we covered today protect the brain you already have. But there's a whole other side to this. Your brain's ability to grow new connections even well after 60. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity. And there are specific daily habits, not foods, not supplements, that activate it more powerfully than anything we discussed today. That's the next video. Subscribe to Senior Health Mastery so you don't miss it. Every week here, we cover what your doctor doesn't have time to explain, backed by real published research, built specifically for adults over 60 who want to stay sharp and independent. That is the only thing we do here, and you deserve nothing less. Take good care of yourselves.